everybody, this is Will. I'm hanging out the ILIO booth. This is a great safe space away from the craziness of NAMM. Andy's going to take us through a few things. Andy, show me some of the new stuff you guys have this year.
Well, this is a virtual instrument that I created. It's called Andy Narell Steel Pans, the Ellie Mannette collection.
Perfect.
Now, steel pans are an instrument, I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're from Trinidad.
Yeah.
And Ellie Mannette was the father of steel pan tuning from the 1940s until a few years ago when he died. He had a 75-year career as a steel pan builder and tuner.
Wow.
And he covered the whole history of from the beginning, before when they were just beating rhythm on paint cans, to today's modern day sophisticated steel pans. And so these are the instruments that I've been using on my albums and on film scores and records and stuff. And when I do an album of steel orchestra music, essentially steel pans are a whole family of instruments, from soprano down to bass, different voices. And these are the instruments I use to create like steel orchestra albums to use on some, and I sampled them all and put them into a virtual instrument. When you put up the first patch, you get a steel band.
That's awesome.
The full orchestra.
And that's already spread out across the keyboard.
It's the full range from all the way down to the bass.
Wow, that's awesome.
All right, and they're all right in front of you. But what's inside is basically all these different instruments. If I were to solo these out, what you have is, let's say somebody says, I just want to play a tenor pad, a single tenor pad. Well, here it is. Here's one.
That's great.
And you have 5 different ones to choose from. Each one is a unique instrument, and so on. And then combinations where you get a stereo mix of 2, 3, or 5 of them. And for each type of instrument, that's 4 pairs of double seconds mixed. But here you have all the instruments. You can choose one. And down through the whole register of the orchestra. These are the guitars, tenor bass, and bass.
Wow, that's awesome.
And so they're all playing together. And you can just basically, you try my presets here, and then if you want to work with them, you just say, okay, I just want high, I just want to play melodies.
Yeah.
You can choose, you can go in here and choose which instruments you want, what combination, and so on, or you can just stick with the presets. There's a huge dynamic range in steel pans. And I sampled the instruments, about 35 to 40 samples of every single note in the orchestra. And then I balanced each instrument so that each one individually plays balanced. And then I mixed them all together so that all the instruments are balanced with each other. But to really access the whole range of the instrument, for instance, here we'll solo out of these double seconds. And just with the regular touch that I have, using MIDI velocity, we can just shift the whole emphasis down to a different range of the sample. So
so you're only accessing that particular velocity range.
Well, you still have the dynamic range, but you're in a lower part of it. So what this does is shift the whole dynamic range up and down. But it's really a tone control, not a volume control, because when you drop the MIDI velocity, I'm actually playing the pans softer than I'm just barely touching the pans.
Yeah.
And when you push it up loud, I actually hit the pans much harder, which is a whole different tone.
Yeah, you can hear it. Yeah.
The high harmonics jump out. So we have a huge dynamic range here. And my default is -20 because that's where I find it kind of an average sweet range.
Yeah, sweet
of
spot.
the instruments.
Yeah. Okay.
And so back to the
It's cool to see how responsive that is to your playing. You know?
in fact, yeah, it's well, you can try it. I mean, I meant to do this because
Even better.
it helps.
Yeah, that's
even
great.
less latency and stuff. And so beyond, and then you have each family of pans, or they have their own fader,
Okay.
so that you can do a lot by changing balances. Let's say, for instance, now if I bring the guitars way up, it's gonna get a lot warmer.
Yeah.
The guitars have a warmer sound, and if I bring them down, it's clearer.
Yeah.
So you have only the double seconds and the tenors playing now,
Okay.
and so you can keep adjusting. You want to get it brighter, and you push the tenors up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so on. And you keep re-hitting it. So you have all this EQ-less control, and beyond that, you can adjust the actual ranges of the instruments.
Oh,
Because
cool.
right now,
Okay.
if you look at there, you see there's quite a bit of overlap
Yes.
between these two instruments. So this is a combination of both. And I have bright presets where basically I've just reduced the range of the guitar pan so that they don't kick in until we get down here. Now you can hear them.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay. And so, I have all these are different stereo mixes. So you have different combinations of pans that
Yep.
you see. There's 13 pans, there's 8 pans, and so on. Single pans, so that you can quickly access whatever kind of preset you want.
That's awesome. And this is available in plugin form for Contact. Is that correct?
Yeah, it runs on Contact Player.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
You just download the library and
Yeah.
run it on Contact, the free player.
That's great. That's free. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, some other features that we put in here.
That's cool.
And we have different intervals that you can use.
Yeah. That's great.
And what the thing about the harmony patch is that it's not a harmonizer. You're actually playing the pans.
Yeah.
It's not processing the audio.
It's not added, yeah.
It's changing the MIDI so that you're actually now playing
That's great.
a whole section of pans doubled by the same pans playing an octave
Yeah.
lower,
That's awesome.
and so on. So we got that. And then, rolls it's easy to roll octaves or chords,
Yep.
but it's hard to roll one note.
Yeah.
And that's how you get sustain on a steel pan.
Okay.
So we put that feature in.
Oh, that's great.
And you can adjust the speed.
That's cool.
Or have it be much slower.
It's almost like a repeat on an old drum machine or something, and then you just hold the pad. And
Yeah, but the intent here is like to get this is how we get the illusion of sustain on steel pans, on
Yeah.
marimbas, it's like by rolling a note, a single stroke roll.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, as a creator of a virtual sound library, how important is, and based on what you just said, I think I know the answer to this, but how important is understanding the intent of the instrument in this sampling and creation? Because the way you just described, the purpose of, I could just say, I'm going to create this feature, but for you knowing the instrument in and out, how important is that to going, this is what the plugin will become?
Yeah, well, the thing is, the more you understand about the instruments, about steel pans, the more you can get out of this.
Yeah.
Because there are like 21 beautiful instruments here, and there are all these different combinations and ways that I orchestrate on albums and scores and stuff
Yeah.
are all quickly accessible with a button. You've got a whole section of pans.
That's
you
great.
can play in octaves and so on. And rolling, for instance. But what I did was I'm going to do more videos, but we have a video. It's at the ILIO site.
Okay.
And I give the first few minutes are a little bit of background about steel pans and Ellie and myself. And then I go into all the features, and in 10 minutes pretty much explain all the features. And in the rolling, I show in the video what it's like on the real instrument.
Okay.
And then how I do it manually, and then how I do it here.
That's great.
And so on. And so was able to kind of pretty much explain this entire instrument in 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
How to, and I tell everybody, please watch the video because it's going to save you so
fully
much
understand
time.
it. Yeah, that's great.
You just know what all this stuff is and how it's all laid out.
And it feels like for composers that need this sound in their tool set, this feels like a really great solution. Really quickly, just get the sounds.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's such a nightmare to assemble all these instruments and find
imagine.
somebody who can play them.
Yeah.
You know, I used to play a lot of film scores in LA, and I used to have to bring down all these instruments to LA and find instruments, to do a live session.
Yeah.
For a movie score, now you have the whole
It's right
orchestra
there.
here,
That's
and I'm benefiting from that because instead of having to run around and play, I do albums where I play the whole album on 25 different instruments,
Wow.
and I have to play every single note right. You know,
Yeah.
and now I've got the whole thing here, and I've got the benefit of
fingertips.
keyboards, MIDI, fixing stuff, and I did my whole last album on sampled pans.
That's amazing.
It's up on SoundCloud,
That's great.
and there's a link at the ILIO site.
Yeah,
too.
we'll add a link in the description of the video for people to check
Yeah.
out. That's awesome.
And you have what we did was here's the show effects. You have chorus, delay, reverb, high pass filter, EQ, at least one band of EQ right
Great.
here on the instrument that you can use. There's a little bonus here called the old pan. This is a pan that my dad brought back from Trinidad for me in 1963 when I was a little kid.
Okay.
And this is the way pans sounded in those days.
Oh wow. That's
It's
awesome.
the real thing. Just a kind of a bonus there.
I like that. That's amazing.
Oh, I love it. I use it
That's
on.
a cool sound.
I'll use it on one track on almost anything.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
any
amazing.
album and stuff.
That's amazing.
So,
Well, Andy, this was great. Thank you so much for the time.
it was a pleasure.
Thanks
Thanks
cool
for your
looking at
interest.
this. Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you watching this, if you want to learn more about this plugin and the links to your album, the video you did, we'll throw all that in the description of this video.
Cool.
And Andy, again,
It's
thank
all
you
on
so
the
much.
page at ILIO. There's the Andy Narell Steel Pans page.
Perfect.
The
We'll link
video,
that up.
the audio links.
Awesome.
all that
Awesome.
stuff.
Thank you, Andy. We
Pleasure.
appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching this. If you want to see the rest of our coverage, make sure to click the link in the description of this video. And you can see the playlist of all of our content here from NAMM 2022. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.